Torture to me, Chuck, is an American citizen on his cell phone making a last call to his 4 young daughters shortly before he burns to death in the upper levels of the Trade Center in New York City on 9/11.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gimme 5. Dick Cheney, he made the rounds on the talk shows, but I was most fascinated with the interview he gave here to Chuck Todd on Meet the Press. I love that definition of torture. You know, those people, they had to make a decision. Are they going to burn and disintegrate? Are they going to burn to a crisp and disintegrate into thin air, or are they going to jump out the window? That was their torture, okay? Not putting someone's head underwater. And Cheney laid it all on the line. Here's more.
There's this notion that somehow there's moral equivalence between what the terrorists did and what we do, and that's absolutely not true. We were very careful to stop short of torture. The Senate has seen fit to label their report torture, but we worked hard to stay short of that definition.
Well, what is that definition?
Definition is the one that was provided by the Office of Legal Counsel. We went specifically to them because we did not want to cross that line into where we were violating some international agreement that we'd signed up to.
Okay. Again, taking Chuck Todd to task for making some kind of moral equivalence between what they did to the terrorists and what the terrorists did to Americans. It's outrageous. Simply outrageous. And Cheney was fantastic. He was flawless here in his defense of what we did to protect Americans, and I hope we would do it again.
They specifically authorized and okayed, for example, exactly what we did. All of the techniques that were authorized by the President were, in effect, blessed by the Justice Department opinion that we could go forward to those without, in fact, committing torture.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. And Chuck Todd then asked about some of the items from the report, such as...
Let me go through some of those techniques that were used. Majid Khan was then suspected of, was subjected to involuntary rectal feeding and rectal hydration. It included 2 bottles of Ensure. Later in the same day, Majid Khan's lunch tray, consisting of hummus, pasta, sauce, nuts, and raisins, was pureed and rectally infused. Does that meet the definition of torture?
That does not meet the definition of what was used in the program.
No, I understand that, but does that meet the definition of torture in your mind?
In my mind, I've told you what meets the definition of torture. It's what 19 guys armed with airline tickets and box cutters did to 3,000 Americans on 9/11. What was done here apparently certainly was not one of the techniques that was approved. I believe it was done for medical reasons.
Yeah, I mean, this rectal feeding was done to the terrorists who were on a hunger strike. They weren't eating. They were on a hunger strike. Now, I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but I think that's a caveat that needs to be mentioned. It wasn't gratuitously done to any terrorist. It was done to the terrorist who was on a hunger strike. So I don't know if this is medically, expedient or proper, but that has to be taken into consideration. But that was not one of the items that was approved by the Justice Department or by the CIA or by the administration. Keep that in mind. And keep the bottom line in mind. As Cheney said on Fox News a couple of days ago, this whole report is full of crap. It's a bunch of crap, according to Cheney. So keep that in mind. Here's one more.
If you go and look, for example, at Jose Rodriguez's book, and he was the guy running the program, he's got a very clear description of how, in fact, the program operated. With respect to that, I think the agency has answered it in its response to the committee report.
But you acknowledge this was over and above.
That was not something that was done as part of the interrogation program.
But you won't call it torture?
It wasn't torture in terms of it wasn't part of the program.
There you go. What can I tell you? I mean, Chuck Todd, they're trying. Here's a guy who doesn't have to come out and answer any questions. Here's a guy who had a heart transplant. Here's a guy who served this country in every capacity imaginable, and he's the villain of the universe to the mainstream media, and Todd tried his best to get him, but he couldn't do it. You know why? Because Dick Cheney is right, and any one of you phonies in the media would want them to stick a guy's head underwater if it meant saving your kids. Give me a break. Grow up. Got to be kidding me. All right, folks, you know what's next. It's your Newsmax Now update, and it's coming straight ahead on Newsmax Television. Don't